Good afternoon. It is 5 minutes past 3 on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7, and you're welcome on The Woman Agenda. The Woman Agenda is a deliberate and calculative program where we break the culture of silence by amplifying the voice of women and girls in demanding transparency, accountability, and good governance. 5 minutes past 3, my name is Esther Alaribi, and today on The Woman Agenda we're discussing addressing workplace sexual harassment and assault. Addressing workplace sexual harassment and assault today on the Woman Agenda. My guest today, I'm going to be speaking to Fumilayo Oyefusi, Managing Partner, FTI Consulting, Nigeria. Yes, before we go into the conversation, the phone lines are open 07000 917 917, or you can send us a text or a WhatsApp message 07031756537. You can listen live at the website www.wfm917.com. Download the mobile app to listen live, WFM 917. So, a lot of women will tell you about how it's been like for them working in the corporate world, on the kind of things they have to manage just because you want to keep your job, the kind of comments that have been thrown at you. Subtle comments, sometimes some people are very, very vocal about it. Some even go as far as putting actions to their words, and everyone should be able to live a life that is free of harassment and violence. I mean, in spite of all of this, we get to see women still doing different good works in ensuring that they get to the top of the ladder in their careers. But things like this can just dampen the spirits of these women. I remember sometime last year there was a conversation on Twitter asking women to talk about how sexual harassment affects them at work and how they've had to handle it. The particular story that I just cannot forget, the lady was very, very open to talking about how she was made to stay back at work intentionally by her boss, so she would work late nights and the boss would harass her, and at that time she was applying to so many other places and no one was forthcoming, and she could not leave the job because her mom was sick. She had so many things to do. She needed that job to just keep her family running, but it was tearing her apart. She said when she finally got the boldness to leave, she left, but she didn't leave on a good note, because she had to just call the man out and tell people what had happened. But the sad thing is, even when she told people that she thought probably would be on her side, nobody believed, because this person happens to be the boss and everybody wants to be in the boss's good book. You don't want to lose your job because of another person. You don't want to lend your voice to the cause of another person and lose your own job. So that particular incident broke her so much that having to get another job, she would go on and on asking them in the interviews about their work policies, about harassment policies, how is it done, who will she be reporting to. So she wanted to know all of these things, and she said it took her a very long time before she got another job. She said at some point she regretted leaving that job that was tearing her apart, that she at some point wished that she had stayed back so she could take care of her family. But at the end of the day, it's not the best option. But let's hear from Fumilayo Oyefusi. She tells us more about this and how to address it. Good afternoon, Fumilayo. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I hope you're doing great.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, so Fumilayo, let's talk about sexual harassment and assault in the workplace. Again, like I mentioned earlier, not a lot of people are able to confidently talk about these things because, again, their source of livelihood is tied to this and they might lose their job when they talk about it. And people will keep telling you things like, oh, how many jobs do we have out there? Do you know how many people are still looking for jobs? You even tell some people and they'll tell you, oh, you should even be lucky that you have somewhere you wake up to go to every day. And people are unable to speak up. It is sad what we have to deal with, but this is just it. All right, Fumilayo, over to you.
Right. So, thank you for having me, Esther.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, listeners, for joining me. So, what is harassment at work? And I had the conversation you started with somebody saying that there's no job out there, so I should have, having regret that I should have stayed. There is no need to condone any form of harassment at work. There is a need for us to know that we are human beings, we have our rights, and we have our dignity, and so everybody should respect us as that. But let me describe what an harassment is.
Okay.
Harassment is an unwelcome conduct that is either based on a race, color, or religion. And this includes gender identity. So it could be because I'm a woman, and it could also be because I am above 40. It could also be because I shared my genetic information, even my family history with you, and you use that to begin to harass me. So that is harassment. And sexual harassment is also part of this harassment. Sexual harassment is unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of the sexual nature. So if you make a demeaning comment about my appearance, indecent remarks about my person or my body, that is sexual harassment. If you touch me and I don't like it, that is sexual harassment. And I'm different from an actor. I just want to lay this background before we go deep into the discussion. An assault is different. Harassment can be verbal. It can be non-verbal.
Okay.
But when it's an assault is the act of illegally committing physical harm upon me, wanted physical contact upon a person. And in some legal definitions, is a threat or an attempt to commit such an action. So if you threaten me that, look, I will smack you, I will slap you, that's an action. Okay? So we need to understand what harassment is, what assault is, and in the workplace, the job of the leadership, the manager, especially the human resource managers, is to make people to understand this terminology, make sure that at the point of induction, every staff understands the policy of the organization, what constitutes an harassment, what constitutes an assault, and having to know that the organization has a zero tolerance against such attitudes. Because in the workplace, we need to create an environment that will make people to be productive and perform on their job, and will make them to look forward to coming to work the next day. So that is my definition of harassment and assault.
All right, thank you so much, Fumilayo. Yes, very, very detailed, because yes, we understand first what harassment is and what assault is. Again, not a lot of people understand that these things come in different forms. If you taunt somebody with a particular thing, maybe something that has to do with their appearance or them having a particular situation they're trying to handle, and not a lot of people know about it, but because you're privy to that information, you go taunting them about it. So let me just throw this question in. I recall some time ago a particular friend who raised concerns about how somebody she had confided in at work about the reasons why she was failing to meet her targets and things like that. This person went ahead to start taunting her about it. So when anything happens and she's unable to meet her deadlines and stuff like that, that particular person would just go around. The person had to even make a song out of that thing that she had told the person and start singing it all around. Now, not a lot of people understood what that person was trying to imply, but because she was the one that told that other person what it was about, so she knew that that song was for her. At some point, everybody got to know about what it is, because people started asking her, what is the song you're always singing? And this lady happens to be somebody who is on course, and she told them practically what it was. And it began to affect this lady's self-esteem to the extent that she told me one time, she sent me a message, she said she's at that point where she wakes up feeling, why did I wake up? Because I have to go to work. And at that point, I knew that there's something bigger than what she's telling us that she's battling at work. So we had to ensure that she got professional help. She finally had to leave that job. And what the challenge was, because we're still coming back to organizational policy, she said when it was reported, the organization didn't see anything about it, and they said it was just colleagues' bans, that probably the other lady also does the same, so why is she raising consent? So what would you say to that situation?
So that's an emotional aspect, and you could affect the psychology of that person for life, and which would also lead to mental health issues. So people in organizations that say, oh no, it doesn't matter, maybe just playing with you. They are making light of an issue that could have a lifetime impact on that person. And these days, people are very sensitive. There are challenges everywhere. So should we, because sometimes work is an escape for some people. So should we, the only form of escape that is available to somebody, should we also block it to the point that the person starts blocking the idea of committing suicide, slipping into depression? So emotional aspects should not be condemned in the workplace, and people should not take it lightly. So I can have a buffer, I can have a strong mind and be able to contain it. But what about the next person that is not as strong as I am? If that person can contain that kind of just aspect, the person starts slipping into depression gradually and we don't know it. And we might lose a soul because of that. So in the workplace, we should not condemn anything that is either threat, verbal abuse, emotional assault, or any of such things. It could be a wrong use of words, even in the workplace. We need to be careful. So the leadership, the human resource managers, they are started with this responsibility. They need to understand the psychological makeup of people. And the managers as well, those who are managing people, should also understand their team members. So if I can joke with Simi and she can take it, it doesn't mean I can joke with Lola or Uchi and she can condone it. So we need to understand each individual, which is the emotional intelligence for those who are managing people and the human resource manager. But the bottom line is, we should not condone emotional assault or physical assault or any form of harassment in the workplace.
All right, thank you so much, Fumi. Let's talk about organizational policy, what organizations need to put in place ahead. The story of a lady I started off with who made this open on a social media platform sometime last year, who said she got to the point where whenever she goes for any interview, one of the first questions she's always asking them is, what are your policies on harassment, sexual assault, or assault generally? What are your policies? She began to ask them, and if she feels like they don't have anything documented or they're just trying to find a way to just answer the question and let it be, she's turning down whatever it is, or she's leaving that interview never to contact them again.
That is my kind of employee.
Okay.
Because she knows her work, she understands who she is, and she's not ready for anybody to put her down and make her feel less of an individual. So let's come back to the policies in the organization. I'll commend that lady, and I want every woman that is listening to us to also be bold to ask organizations about the policies in place before you commit yourself to that work environment. It is essential that you research an organization. So if you're applying for a job, don't just apply anywhere. If you know your work, look out for that organization, research about them. There's every likelihood that you will see some things written, whether it's a good review. We all use yourself. You check their reviews online before you go and stay there. Maybe safety, maybe their how they accept visitors and all of that, how they take care of you, how they welcome you. So it's the same with organization. We should do a lot of research. As a woman, know your work. Do the research. Which kind of organization do I want to work with? I am not ready to work in any kind of organization. Then you do your research. Ask them. Maybe you know people that work there. Do they have a family first policy? Do they protect the people that are harassed or assaulted in this organization? So there's no harm in asking. You're just doing your research before you go ahead, putting your application, or even if you broadcast your application because you want to extend your search. By the time you are being called for an interview, do your research before you go for that interview, so that you don't waste your time. You get to the interview and you discover that they can't protect you as a woman, they don't have a family-friendly policy, you cannot be pregnant, you cannot go on maternity leave, you cannot be protected if you are harassed, they say what is your own problem. Then you know that you vote with your feet. It's not the kind of organization that you want to work in. So even if you get to the point of interview, let's say you are doing your research, you are a little bit comfortable, and you get to the point of interview and you're asking the panel around, okay, so what are your policies around protecting employees? You might not even start with the protecting employees in this kind of environment. And the panelist is not sounding convincing. Then you know that if by any chance you are a victim of harassment, you can't be protected. So you have an option. Accept the offer or vote with your legs. And go and find an institution that will take care of you as an individual. So that is the starting point. Now, for the policies that we need to put in place by organization,
yes,
every organization should have an anti-sexual harassment policy.
Okay.
There is something in the development sector now that is called share policy. Sexual harassment, exploitation, and abuse.
Okay.
So there is a difference between sexual harassment. There is a difference in sexual exploitation. Because if you start saying that, look, if you meet me in this hotel, I can fast track your promotion. That's an exploitation. Because you are at an advantage over me. So organizations should have policies that protect women and protect even men. Because some men are also harassed. But we are focusing on women today because it's a woman agenda, and we have been at the receiving end for a long time. So there must be a sexual exploitation and abuse, sexual harassment, exploitation and abuse policy in the organization. Then policies around bullying, harassment should be included in the staff policy manual.
Okay.
If anything happens, I have the procedure. The policy is detailed enough for me to report. They can investigate. They can sanction the perpetrator. They can also protect me who is a survivor or a potential survivor. So if the employee policy is not detailed enough to allow the stages to be included there, then we are not looking for that kind of organization. So women should also be more detailed these days. And when you enter the organization and these policies are taking you through induction or onboarding process, and you can't find some of these policies in the HR, what about this policy? What about this grievance procedure? Do you have this detail? If anything happens, who should I report to?
Okay.
Do you normally set up investigative panel? Are there sanctions? Have you had this case before? How did you treat it? Are there sanctions? Is there a protection for me? Because again, when we are sanctioned the perpetrator, is the guy going to be looking around and be looking out for me that when we pass this road, I'm going to accost you? All of these things should be in the organization. If you actually want to be an employer of choice, if you want to create a value proposition for your organization, that this is a place to work in, we have a good culture, we protect our employees, we motivate them to perform and to be productive, then you must have all of these things in place. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Fumilayo. Yes, women, I hope we're listening and we're picking up a lot of things, because these are things that, looking at the economic realities, a lot of people just want to get anything and just anything, and you get into it. And by the time these things start playing out, you now start to reflect on why you did not ask these questions. And for some people, it's a thing of not knowing what to have asked. Now you know. Listening to Fumi this afternoon reminds me of a lot of things that happened back a few years ago. As a camp member just leaving camp, a lot of people are just trying to get their hands on, sending applications to different people. You see predators just trying to exploit you, telling you, oh, they're going to do this and this for you if only you can do this and this. For somebody who is not privy to all of this information, or you don't have first-hand information on what your right is as a person, or even what is even obtainable, you probably will just fall prey to these people. And at the end of the day, somebody will tell you, oh, it's your job. At the end of the day, you still need money. Our society has just been wired in a way that people will just want to do anything and want to impose it on you to do anything for money. And this is the culture of silence that we are encouraging in our society, and we're here to break that culture of silence, because a lot of women, I feel like women are not, we need to do more in the area of talking to women to speak up. Because there are some people that no matter how much you talk about these things, when they look at the economic realities and looking at the options they have at hand, they still will not speak up. Fumilayo, I don't know if this is something that maybe we might have to start having panels where we get to have this conversation. Maybe a lot more women will be open about talking about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Esther. You see, the first thing we need to do is get confident about ourselves. If you know the value you are going to add to that organization, there is no point being intimidated by anybody or any employer. If I know that if I lose this job, because I have experience and I know my work and my job, I'm going to get another job in a month or two. I have done that before. So start from the point of confidence. Why don't you build your self-esteem around your profession so that people will meet you, they will not be able to do without you. So when you start from the point of being skilled, then you build that and then you begin to speak up. Because again, if women are not speaking out, encouraging the perpetrators to continue without being sanctioned. And it is going to affect a lot of people's psychological and emotional well-being. Do we want a society where every woman is just trying to slip into depression and commit suicide? No. We want a society where everybody can thrive. We want an education where everybody can come in, you are happy to do your job, you are contributing a bigger picture in that organization, and you are proud of yourself. That's the kind of environment that we should create, both in the country and even within an organization. So we can begin to have a panel discussion around it and find out what are the reasons why women are not speaking up. Why are we encouraging the culture of silence? I know that our culture has put women in the background for a long time, but things are changing. So we need to also know that there are women out there that are doing great things. Can we learn from them? No. So let's encourage women. Let's have, you are in the radio sector, you are in the media sector, so you can help us start this conversation. Maybe bring some women that are very good in the society, that are achievers, and they have gone through this kind of route and they were not able to speak up. What happened to them? Let's begin to talk so that we can build the confidence of the younger generation to speak up and stop the perpetrators in their tracks.
All right. Thank you so much for me. It is 27 minutes past 3 on your Women Radio, WFM 91.7, and this is the Woman Agenda. The Woman Agenda is a deliberate and calculative program where we break the culture of silence by amplifying the voice of women and girls in demanding transparency, accountability, and good governance. Today on the Woman Agenda, we're discussing addressing workplace sexual harassment and assault, and my guest, Fumilayo Oyefosi, Managing Partner, FTI Consulting Nigeria. She's been able to lay backgrounds as to what sexual assault is, sexual harassment, your rights as an employee, the things that organizations need to pay attention to, the things they need to do, the kind of policies they need to have in place, how employees should be able to have conversations with the management on how they want to feel like at work. Like she has mentioned, people are going through a whole lot. Some people, it's just that 8 hours that they get to spend at work that is when they feel at ease, because when they get home, they probably are overwhelmed by the kind of things that they have to manage at home, and work is like some kind of excuse. So as much as possible, we want to make it a safe space, a conducive space when people can come, do their job, and they are productive, and they look forward to coming to work the next day and they feel better. So for me, as we get to wrap up on this conversation, you mentioned emotional intelligence. Now, leaders, managers at management level, there is need for us to keep reiterating the need for emotional intelligence in a lot of people. Let me take myself for instance. I'm a very logical person, and there are times when somebody could come talking to you and you can tell that this person, you're not saying the truth, or you are not saying things the way they should be done, or whatever excuse you're trying to give at that time is not tenable. That is me being logical. But if you look at what this person is trying to say from an emotional point of view, you probably want to be like, okay, no problem, I'll let it go. But in case this happens another time, Now, not a lot of people are able to discern between or knowing when to apply what. There are times when being logical cuts it and that is what it should be, and you're applying it head on. But there are times when you need to lean towards the EI, the emotional intelligence, and just tell yourself, I just let this go. Let me stay back a little bit on this one and see how it happens. Because there's some people, in recent times, I get to see some people complain about how organizations have been given queries for them coming late to work, meanwhile you're struggling to get cash to get to work, all these kind of policies and stuff like that. So what would you say to that? Yes.
Interestingly, my organization just finished a webinar on confidence in virtual workplaces. And this is one of the things we are discussing, that we need to consider and be sensitive. And for leadership and for HR managers, it's time to design work. If people are struggling to get cash and they can't find transport, there's no fuel, and still stopping them and expecting them to come to work, is that realistic? Work can be performed anywhere as long as you provide the tools. And we talk about performance management, and it's not just about appraising somebody. It's also providing the necessary tools for that person. It's also making sure that you motivate the person to be able to perform, and then you demand accountability of what is expected. So it's not just, okay, are you doing the work? You are not doing the work. I put a sledgehammer on you. That's not performance management. So in this time, leadership and organizations need to think around, how do we redesign work in a way that people can conveniently sit in their places, maybe their home, or there's an office around their area where they can share, sit in that place and still be productive by setting a clear expectation, clear deliverable. So I just want to mention that on the performance management. Now, on the emotional intelligence that you talked about, emotional intelligence is knowing who I am and what I do.
Okay.
Who am I? What makes me feel? What can make me react at this point? What do I do with that reaction? Which is also social skills. So when you see somebody that is doing something and you are thinking emotional intelligence, you say, I'll allow this to pass, maybe next time. What if there's no next time? So at that point, it is reflecting and breathing and saying, how do I pass across this message so that this person will understand without getting, without overreacting? How can I respond to this person without reacting? Because most times, when somebody says something, our first instinct is to react. Meanwhile, you need to respond rather than react. When you respond, I give myself as an example. I don't get upset easily because I'm feeling that if I get upset, this person will not get the gist of what I want to do. So I will process it within the split second that I have. And if I don't have that split second, I'll still go back and tell the person, so and so that you did at this time. This is what I think you should have done. This is the implication of what you have done. This is the future implication or whatever. And the person is able to reason with me. So, like you, I'm a very process person, analytical person. I don't want to react because my reaction will not get the message across. I want to respond. So emotional intelligence for leaders is knowing, it's not just for leaders, it's for everybody within an organization. So emotional intelligence is, how do I handle this issue so that the person will get the message? How do I communicate to this person so that the person knows I don't hate you, but I hate your action? And I want you to correct yourself so that it doesn't happen again. That's emotional intelligence. It doesn't mean, oh, no, I'll keep quiet. I'll let it pass. I don't want to talk so that nobody gets offended. They might get offended, but they will get the message. So how you pass the message across, that is emotional intelligence. So we all need it. And statistics have said that 90% of people that are successful and productive at work, they have emotional intelligence. Not necessarily that they have intelligent quotient. So you might find somebody that is with a high IQ, but the person
lacks
does not have emotional intelligence. So the person is not a people person, the person can't work in a team, the person is always causing trouble or having conflicts at work. That's somebody with a high IQ. But if you find somebody that has a low IQ but has a high emotional intelligence, the person is teachable, the person can learn quickly on the job, and the person knows how to relate with people and get the job done. So there's a lot around this that we all need to learn, and people need to understand that even in the workplace, emotional intelligence is essential for everybody, not just for the leader.
Very, very essential for everybody. So yes, in case you're wondering, maybe you run an organization, or even as a person, and you're wondering how do I make myself better in this regard, you know where to go now. FTI Consulting Nigeria, you know where to go, because a lot of things that for me I said, I'm just like, okay, trying to reflect on some situations that have happened. Just maybe, but at the end of the day, yes, just find a way, get information on how to make yourself better. Emotional intelligence is something that's going to do you a lot of good. Sometimes being quiet or not saying anything or not reacting is actually the way to go sometimes, because your reaction, like you have mentioned, that responding is better than having to react. Because if you react, you might just react out of proportion and everything will just blow out, and the person might end up not getting the message.
Yeah, and it might even cause a huge conflict within the organization.
Something bigger. All right, thank you so much, Fumilayo Oyefusi. Thank you for joining us today. Words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Do have a wonderful day and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Yes, you too. Yeah, special thanks to my guest, Fumilayo Oyefusi, Managing Partner, FTI Consulting Nigeria. So much, she said a lot of amazing stuff this afternoon. So we hope that with all of these details that you have, you know better on how to approach organizations, how to handle workplace sexual harassment and assault. You are able to demand these things from your organization to protect you properly. And also as an employee, you also need to ensure that even as a person in your personal life, emotional intelligence is something that people need to get more information on and know how to act, how to react day in, day out with your relationship with people. Many thanks for tuning in to the Woman Agenda today. Thanks to the producer, Blessing Agbeiton, and the executive producer, Tom Okewale Shonaya. The Woman Agenda is a deliberate and calculative program where we break the culture of silence while amplifying the voice of women and girls in demanding transparency, accountability, and good governance. Do well to join us again every Friday. It is at 3 p.m. on Women Radio 91.7 on the Woman Agenda. My name is Esther Alaribi. Yes, good afternoon.